Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Kristin Thomas. I'm very lucky to be working with Supconnect and doing these Supconnect Lives. There he is!
You! Yes.
I even have Laker colors. It's somebody's birthday today.
Ooh, oh man. Big
but I gotta
44.
take this off and put the headphones in.
The headphones, yeah. I got mine in.
Oh, you got the fancy kind. Like it.
Woo!
Mine are, yeah. Obviously, I'm not very good at these. We have Dave Boehne with us today, and it's his birthday, so it's extra special that he's willing to do this, and we're so stoked. A true legend, a true icon in our short history of stand-up paddling, but you have so much more going on. Just quickly, Supconnect sponsors these, and we have a follow-up group on Facebook called Supconnect Live Discussions. We'd love you to come join us because I'm going to be posting some pictures, maybe a little video of Dave. Some of the different things we talk about deserve mention, and any links to anything that we talk about today will go in that Facebook page, if that's okay with you. So every Thursday, 1 p.m., we're here. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. How to talk about you, because you're such a multifaceted guy just in the stand-up paddle world. So I kind of was breaking it down the way I think of you and your different roles. And one of the first one that comes to mind is that you're such a creative. And you have a history. That's not, you've been, Infinity. You were born into Infinity. There was already a store. Your parents had a business. So kind of surf and water were there right from the beginning. But I know you've worked in marketing, and you're, of course, the board designer and so innovative. You've had a little music career in there, maybe. Do we call it a career? But tell me kind of like that side of you. Where do you remember that first coming? Was it the music in high school with the sweaters? Or and tell people what you did before you worked for Infinity.
There's a lot to unpack there, KT. Well, thank you for the intro. I appreciate it. Where do I start? I just, growing up, I've always just been a creative kid. I've always been into designing stuff from, I could remember from a young age. I've always wanted to make the Infinity logo, or, I always had, I would think like a name for a brand was cool and write it down. One day I'm gonna have a brand name, whatever this is, and like have like the little logo. And I always kind of envisioned myself having my own brand, And growing up, I wanted to be a graphic designer, a clothing designer, and all those different things, And I've got to dabble in a little bit of all that. So it's been super fun, and that's just how I've always kind of kept my interest in just designing stuff. And obviously, growing into a surf family with a surf label and surfboards, and later on the stand-up paddle boards, I had access to designing boards early, and it's been a love of mine. And, lately the stand-up paddle stuff's been really fun because it's, when it first came around, you're really kind of pioneering designs and learning from scratch. And that was really fun. And, I could say I really love designing race boards right now, because they're so hard to get fast and stable and right. And I can honestly say I fall asleep and wake up thinking about this stuff.
Really? That's very cool. Lucky for us.
Sure.
Well, when did you first, so I think the store was in Huntington Beach, but it's been in Dana Point now a long time. Do you remember your dad's in there shaping all the time still? Do you remember going in and asking to help or giving him advice? Did he appreciate it? Your ideas?
Back then I was just a kid, so, the Infinity shop opened up in 1970 in Huntington. I wasn't born until 1976. So, kind of the earliest memories I could think of was, I do remember spending some time in that original surf shop, as a very young kid. And at that time we had our own manufacturing facility that was in Santa Ana. So my mom would spend time taking me from the glass shop manufacturing facility and to the surf shop. So I remember spending time between the two, way back then. This is before, I ever touched any surfboards or anything. But, just grew up in the industry. It's just what I knew and what, was just daily life. And, I was just like any other kid. I grew up doing soccer and baseball and all that stuff. And, surfing was something that we just did. Every Sunday I know I'm going to San Onofre. Like, that's just what we did growing up. So in those ways, growing up in California and having parents like that, very lucky for sure.
So cool. Well, kind of with that, I think is another one of the many roles I see you in is being Mr. Style. And that's surfing. You just have this incredible style that everybody loves to watch. Your paddle stroke in stand-up paddling, we all try to emulate how you do that. And then just being Mr. Cool Dude.
I think, I don't know. When I started stand-up paddling, I came from a hardcore surf background, so I always rode every type of board. I've never had a narrow mind. So obviously when stand-up came around, it was just something that I picked up, and I picked up quickly because I just grew up riding all sorts of different boards. And I think the variety of boards that I rode kind of played into my style of surfing. Like I was never the most talented shortboarder or the talented longboarder, but I'm a blend of all those things I've done. And I just remember, like, I've always wanted to just, when you see yourself on video, like you just like hate it. Like I remember if anything, I just want to look smooth, like I can't control what my arms are doing and this and that, but I just want to look smooth, like, for me personally. And from a young age, I just wanted to look smooth and in control and not try to do too much. And when stand-up paddling came around, I think that led to that because the boards were longer. You actually have to have a paddle in your hand. And one of my big pet peeves when I surf without a paddle, I kind of have my arms out. And this is probably something that people don't notice except for me. But when I hold a paddle, my style is more like compact and sweet that, that I like it. So I just really liked stand-up paddle surfing when it came around. And I don't know. I think, if you're going by the people calling the style guy, I think when stand-up paddle started, there was a lot of animosity towards it, with the surfers and the stand-up paddlers. And I don't know, it was just frustrating because it was just so fun. And like I said, I'm not closed-minded. I wanted people to understand how fun and cool it was. So in the early years, I really took it upon myself to put stand-up paddling under a different lens, like I think everyone kind of saw stand-up paddling as the guy with the goggles and the booties and the weird PFD and, all this. I wanted to prove people that there's cool people doing this. There's legit watermen doing this. There's studs doing this sport. And I kind of took that upon myself in the early years to kind of be that guy,
Well, congratulations, because I think you really did help break down barriers in a lot of ways and continue to. Some of the things I think of in that sort of creative style mode are movies that you've been in. We don't have that many stand-up paddleboard movies, but you certainly have been a part of quite a number of iconic ones. Maybe something about a favorite of those. Sup Pirates comes to mind, and Conversations, the ISA Worlds, which we'll talk about racing in a little bit, but that U.S. win was a big, cool movie too.
Yeah, no, all that stuff, like mentioning all those brings back like really good memories. And I think with the video part, I just been lucky to be a part of those things. The very first one was H2 Indo. And I think I think that, my buddy Brent Beal, I think that movie really introduced the sport to a lot of people. And, just by luck, I'm in that movie, and a lot of people knew me and from that movie. And, all of a sudden I was like a stand-up paddle guy, which I never really, it happened on accident really. And, but I really loved it. And I loved traveling. And like I said, I always wanted to do stand-up paddling. I wanted to put it in the right places. And that's why we made our own film with Sup Pirates. At that time, no one really made a true like performance sup surf movie. It was always about, the experience and like the sunset and like, the roots of the sport, and just, it's beautiful. And I feel zen when I'm on the water, and, that's all great. And all those movies, there's a couple really beautifully shot movies in the beginning, but no one was doing that. So we were literally the first one to do a performance movie. And I think the timing was right. And just the way we did it was just fun. Like, I purposely wrote the name Sup Pirates with numbers and like, in the logo because, it was just funny. People couldn't find it. If you Googled it, it wouldn't pop up because it was like 5UP. Yeah.
Because the name was too cool.
Yeah. So it was almost like a secret society, speakeasy thing. And it was just fun to do it like that. Yeah.
I still have my DVD.
Oh, yeah.
I own one.
We printed a big 1,000 of those. So
still a lot around. Another role is being a leader, and how, whether you want that or not, you have certainly fallen into that with heading a company and branching out as you have into being an international brand, being a team leader for your own Infinity team. So has leadership come naturally to you? Is that like something you've come to reluctantly? You're good at it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that I'm like super comfortable being in that role, but I think I've always kind of been that way. Like it does come kind of naturally for me, I guess, but like it's not comfortable. I don't think all the time, but it's impossible not for me not to, because when I get into something, I get into it deep. I go 100% in. I'm really passionate about it, and I want everyone to be just as passionate as me. And it's just fun like that. From coaching to whatever it is. I mean, I don't know. I always just feel like we could be doing better or whatever it is. And it's cool. I mean, I have lots of mentors, and I just try to set a good example. Really, that's all it is.
Well, you do a great job there. You're a great athlete in your own right. I mean, people know you in the surfing probably a little more, but you're a freaking fast AF racer too.
Well, I mean, look, I was never like one of the top guys, but I could proudly say that I was definitely in the mix, at one point. But more so than that, like I do have a jock side of me, like the training and the endurance side. Like I love it. Like I'm into it. Like I love to feel fit, and I love to feel myself get better at things. And it's just a learning process. Like I love all that.
You mentioned your youth sports, but I also learned from another talk recently that you were really into basketball for a while, which that shouldn't surprise me because you're a huge fan, as we know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lakers all the way. But you were in basketball leagues and stuff.
Well, basketball is a funny one because it's like surfing took over my life, and if I could do it again, I probably wouldn't change anything. But like sometimes there's that famous saying like, surfing ruined my life, and obviously surfing didn't ruin my life, but I mean, there's a lot of things I'm into, a lot more things. So, along my path, I got into different things, and like one of them was basketball, and I didn't get into basketball till like, my mid-20s, but like for some reason I got really into it where I'm telling you, I was like Kobe Bryant stories. Like I would dribble the ball around the block. I was playing in rec leagues. I was getting like coached by people just for fun. It's just like you take karate lessons or something. Like I wanted to get good at basketball, and like
I love it.
I would travel all around just to play pickup ball. Like I was like a baller. Like I would drive to Venice by myself and play with like these guys, and they were dunking and everything. And it was just funny because it was like this little core group. Like eventually you start knowing people, these guys would call me Slim. And,
Ooh,
it was just
another
funny.
nickname.
Yeah, but not so much anymore. I'm in my 40s. But,
nobody believes it.
Yeah, but the basketball thing is just an example of like I dive in on stuff. Like I need to get all in.
Yeah. Well, part of that athlete thing, which really branched out. I mean, you've been involved in events in a lot of different ways, both the SUP surfing and the SUP racing. Commentator. These movies and things. Do you have some favorites? I mentioned the ISA Worlds when the U.S. won, and Brent Deal made a film, and I forgot your role in that. Were you the coach or the manager or something like that?
Well, in that film, I was actually a part of the team. I was I was one of the surfers along with Sean Pointer and Izzy Gomez competing.
Okay.
Then the year following, I became the coach. So I got to see both sides of that, which is really cool. But yeah, ISAs is a special event, and I mean, I can't thank thank like the team enough. Like, I mean, that's the only year we won gold, and just that whole process with having guys like Danny Ching on the team, obviously Candace Appleby, Slater Trout, Sean Pointer and Izzy. I mean, our team was insane, and Jack Bark. I mean, that's just a cool moment in history of SUP, and I mean, just to be a part of that is very special. And if you haven't seen that movie, Chasing Gold, I think it's on iTunes.
Chasing Gold. Yeah.
Chasing Gold.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know. We'll put a link to that. And then more recently, right up your alley, the APP series has both SUP surfing and SUP racing, which definitely fits your personal brand, I think, and Infinity brand. That's where I think I've seen you as a commentator, right?
Yeah.
Having fun with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a fan first, like before I even started competing or anything, first I was just helping my dad at Battle of Paddle, putting up the tent, and just soaking it all in. But yeah, it's kind of fun to travel around the world, of course, and watch all the best athletes like up close. And, I've done enough racing and competing. I feel like I have a unique perspective. Like, I feel like I know what they're thinking, at least a little bit. And I know, what's happening, and hopefully I could break it down and add that kind of color to it. But yeah, being an announcer, it's just fun. It's a fun opportunity. And it's just, like I said, I kind of dive into opportunities that come my way. And that's just another one of them that stand-up paddle has provided for me.
Yeah. I'm trying to even think of what you haven't done in that whole world, but I'm sure if you haven't, you will. Another thing, you've led camps down in Costa Rica, I think, but probably other places that I don't know about too. But I know people, I didn't get to go, but that's supposed to be just a wonderful location down there in Nosara.
Yeah. No, that's been super awesome. One of my good buds, Nate, and his wife, Layla, started Nosara Paddle Surf down there, and I got to meet them a long time ago. And now they're some of my best friends, like in my life. And we started doing these, they do a full service SUP camp, which is incredible. It's nosarapaddlesurf.com. It's the best one on the planet. Like, I've gone to a lot of them, and trust me, from top to bottom, like just the food, the facility, the waves, the instruction, top notch. Whether I'm there or not, like, they got it dialed. But we started doing that, and it was cool because just from the movies and stuff, I would get people messaging me like, "Hey, do you coach? Like, I'd love to come down and try a board. Like, can we go surfing? I'll pay you, whatever." So we just got this idea to do like a camp hosted by Dave from Infinity. So it's really turned into a bigger thing. It's called the Infinity SUP Skills Camp, and we do it every year. We do a couple a year, and they're sold out. It's a fun time. It's almost, we get a lot of repeats, and it's kind of turned into like this legendary don't miss week experience. And it's a shame I have to turn down a lot of people every year because the camp only fits so many people. But when I say sign up, you should sign up because it sells out. But it's awesome, and it's just another thing that stand-up paddle provides, and brings a world of community to one place to enjoy this sport.
Well, regardless of people, if they've been coached by you, they're on your team, they're a speed freak, or they've been to this camp, they talk about how you make them feel like family. And I know that having experienced it, that's a really special part of what you do. Back to surfing, this gal named Mel Weigel, who is she? She has a bunch of questions. She wants to know your favorite surf trip of all time and most memorable wave. And favorite chilled bevy.
Ooh, those are very tough questions, very good questions, and there's multiple answers to those. But I don't know, the best surf trip that comes to mind. I mean, gosh, there's a ton of them.
And you've surfed your whole life, yeah. And again, we don't believe you're 44, but you are. People think you're in your 20s.
Well, to go off that, Mo Freitas, we were at the APP, I forget which event it was, maybe New York or something, but this was just like two seasons, maybe last year. And someone's like, "Oh, bro," like, cause I think it was just my birthday, because I think it was my birthday in New York or something around. He's like, "So, bro, it's your birthday." He's all, "I had no idea you're 43. I'm like, wow. I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm old." He's like, "Bro, I was tripping about it for an hour." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I thought you were 25. And I'm like, I was all, thank you, Molly. Just getting a big hug. It was
Yeah.
awkward. But I get stoked on stuff like that. It's just funny.
Yeah,
But,
it is. Yeah.
what were we talking about right before that
We'll
one?
just call you timeless. You're answering Mel's questions about choosing a favorite. I know it's hard to choose one, but a favorite surf trip, a favorite wave, memorable wave.
I think not a single trip stands out, but I would say, like, in my stand-up paddling life, the best and most fun trips I've had is with Slater Trout. Like, Slater Trout and I have a lot of fun together, and we kind of think the same way in a lot of those kind of adventurous things. So anytime I can hang out with Slater, I haven't been able to hang out with him in quite a while. It's a good time, and a handful of trips with him come to mind right away. My favorite beverage right now, since I'm trying to shed some pounds, White Claw.
Okay. There were quite a few Rackham comments that went flying by.
Yes, and I will rack them, right after this interview.
It is your birthday. And Jenna's got questions like, have you ever seen a whale and do you golf? Canada coming in hot.
I got coined like being this uber whale lover. I don't know why, but I mean, whales are cool. And
we ride blackfish for one. You got
know.
me to be like a dork about orcas.
Yeah, orcapod.
Yep.
No, for sure.
So that could be part of it.
That could be part of it. Yeah.
That you make boards with a whale name. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to. Anything with the name Black in it is kind of cool,
Okay. As I told you from the beginning, I'm not cool. Just rub off on me a little bit.
You should see all the little like wannabe brand names I have on a paper with the word Black in it.
Really?
Just add black. It sounds cool. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah, it's fun to see. There's a bunch of things scrolling by. Bigfoot. I haven't mentioned Bigfoot.
Ooh.
Sasquatch. Have you seen him lately? Oh, look what you're wearing. I believe. On a skateboard. I'm wearing an Infinity shirt too.
There you go. Looking good. Yeah. Well, the Sasquatch thing is something I get asked about a lot. I think people, I guess the easiest way to explain it is I can't say that I 100% believe in Bigfoot, right? I get people coming up to me and going, bro, for real, do you believe in Bigfoot? You're like,
yeah.
I can't say I do. I haven't seen one. But the idea of Bigfoot being real fascinates me, and I think it's cool. Yeah. And I've actually met, like, guys who dedicate their life to searching for Bigfoot. And when you talk to them and they tell you their story and show you their evidence and things like that, it's hard not to believe. So I don't know. It's just funny.
It's awesome. It fits with your whole brand. I think of the Hawaiian shirts when you're surfing.
Yeah.
Is that like intentional? I mean, that seems like iconic, something that I always think of when I think of you. Did that start? Does that have a story or it just happened?
No, I think it's more like, I mean, I've always been like, I like my kit tight, like if I have a red board, I want it to match with my red, shirt or whatever, whatever it is. You just got look good, feel good. That's just my mantra.
Yeah. Well, one of your buddies up in Northern California is asking, what would you tell kids who want to get into SUP? Sean Greeley. Hi, Sean.
Oh, yeah, Greeley, the best photographer in the Northern California area. And best board repair guy in Sacramento County, so hit him up. I don't know. I think, there definitely aren't as many kids getting involved as of late that it seems, but I think for kids, it's really easy to get into. You could ride SUP surfboards. You don't have to have the best equipment day one. And I think for parents, it's a really easy thing to get kids on a board on flat water. And for kids, I mean, it's really easy. There's so many good people to look up to. Like if you're a girl, I mean, just think about Candace Appleby, think about Jade Housen, think about Shade Fowdy. Those are like some of the coolest humans on the planet. And then if you're a racer, Danny Ching, of course, and Danny paddles more than anybody if you follow him on Instagram. And there's just so many good people in the sport. Even someone down to like Rob Rojas. Rob Rojas comes to mind as one of the nicest guys in the sport, and just so many positive people to go to. And I'm sure in your community, it just seems like there's those type of people and stuff everywhere you go. And just look up to those guys.
Right. I'm going to throw in, just because I know Sean, because I've been to NorCal Groms. It's really cool that we're starting to see, and I think for some, they need, if their family's not in it, involved already, you know, they need a place to put their kids maybe. And I think that's really will get them hooked. So I love seeing that there's more and more programs coming out for kids in
Absolutely.
different areas. And I know his daughter up there is involved in one. And I think we're going to see a lot from that.
Yep.
Speaking of kids and the fact that you're not actually 25, you have a family. Another one of the many roles that you play that balances out. Yeah. Are you hiding from them? Aren't you watching them?
I am. I am in my boardroom. My kids are on a Zoom. One of them's on a Zoom for school. The other one's playing Nintendo in his pajamas. So I know how to at least lure them away and give me a moment of silence for a second. But yeah, I mean, with the whole pandemic thing happening, it's making life very difficult because you know, they're obviously not at school; they're here. So been juggling that, and it takes a patient wife and a very amazing wife. So thank you, Mary, for all that. But yeah, family life's fun. You know, they're just starting to get into surfing, so we've been doing that every afternoon. And my daughter's getting on the race board, so look out, Candace.
I know.
And yeah, so it's exciting. It's exciting times for sure.
Yeah, that was cool. Was that up in Tahoe where she did? Was that her first race? I forgot. She's on a cool little purple board.
She did. Ember did her first race, the Tahoe Nalu, and kind of by accident, that was my very first paddle race I ever did. So, and I realized that when we were there, it wasn't planned.
Oh, that is cool.
That's kind of a neat story. So if she continues to do that, that was my very first race I ever did.
Yeah. Wow. Multi-generations in a sport that's barely, what would you say, 12, 15? How old do we call our sport? For me, it's 10 years.
Yeah. I kind of consider 2009 officially, like, you know, when the sport was like official, I guess. But it is kind of funny, like everyone always talks about the olden days so much, you know, because like you said, like everyone talks about it, and people talk about it that it's long and gone and everything. And I mean, if you're still doing it and you're active, that is the farthest from the truth. You know, there's still new paddlers. There's still great attendance in races. There's still new pros coming up. You know, I mean, there's still a world tour. It's just a new era, you know, and it does feel different because you don't see some of the staple names you would see every weekend, you know, like the EJs and the Thomas Maximus, and, you know, even Jimmy Terrell doesn't come to every race anymore, but you'd see all those staple guys at every single race, and it's just new faces, but it's alive and well, and it's a sport forever, and you know, I love it. I've been asked, like,
are you still stand-up paddling? And
it's an outrigger.
I'm being asked by an outrigger paddler that's been outrigger paddling for 30 years. And they're asking me if, like, of course, I still love it. And it's normal that not everybody who was the initial people are going to keep going. And yes, you can, like, look back and wish, you know, you're the same exact friends were still coming. But life situations change and things move along. And I'm just excited to watch the growth. And, you know, I don't think we're totally organized yet. I think we have a ways to go, but we're really young. I mean, when you look at other sports and the progress, ours was crazy fast in so many ways, both the racing side and what you dealt with on the industry side. So back to Infinity for a little bit, because it is your 50th anniversary and you made a really cool logo. You made it, huh?
Well, my buddy Brian officially made it, but I can actually say I creatively
collaborated,
directed it.
Okay.
But it's all my buddy Brian Lindstrom. He's a mastermind behind the graphic design. He's actually he's the head graphic designer at Trek Bikes in Wisconsin. So he's a stud.
Cool. Yeah. So the 50th anniversary. I mean, there's some amazing, iconic things. You haven't been into stand-up you have the whole time it's been around. In fact, I heard some people started on tandem boards, and that's one of the many things your parents were tandem surfers. There's a classic, it was re-released today, Stand Up Paddle Journal put out that video of your parents skateboarding.
Yeah, that's cool,
Yeah, with, you know, doing all the paddle tricks. But, you know, I wonder, and your dad has always made a lot of watercraft, like, again, like you, super open to whatever people are looking for. So I assume that's part of you guys getting in early at stand-up. Like you said, hey, something new, I want to try it. In terms of making the boards, was it just like a new challenge, a new way to innovate?
Yeah, it's just like I was saying, like I've always been open-minded to any kind of board or sport, whatever. Anything I'm open-minded about. I'm never going to form an opinion until I try it first, you know? I've never been that way. And I get that from my parents, my mom and my dad. They're very open-minded. They do a lot of sports. They do a lot of weird sports. They do a lot of sports that people might think are kooky, and they don't care. That's just how it is. And that's what I love about them. And my dad, just by luck, they were world champion tandem surfers, and he was making tandem boards. And at that time, there was only a handful of guys making tandem boards. And luckily for my daddy, they were kind of like, I don't know how you describe them in the sport of tandem surfing, but they're, the icons of the sport. Really.
Yeah.
Like, if there was a tandem logo, like the NBA logo, it'd probably be them. Like, they're really, that's their little slice of surf history. So guys were like, hey, I want to do this sport. There's nowhere to get a big enough board. I know you make tandem boards. Can you make me one? So we just started making all these tandem boards for guys. And these were going to Hawaii,
Really?
Yeah, they're going all over the place. And, eventually guys in Hawaii, there's great craftsmen everywhere. Guys start making their own, but it was.
So how big were they? I don't know a tandem board.
They were all like 12 feet. The problem was they're narrow. They're like 25 inches wide. So 12 feet by 25 is a massive surfboard. You don't make that really. So quickly people found out, a lot of people can't stand on a 12-foot 25 board. So then you had to start, getting different blanks really. That's why every stand-up paddleboard is made out of epoxy, because they don't make a polyester blank wide enough. So the epoxy's cut out of billets. You can make it as wide or long as you want. Yeah. So, but it's cool. Like, I've had some pretty famous people come up to me and go, oh man, some of the first times I ever tried paddleboard, I remember was on your dad's tandem board. Like, it's a kind of cool stories like that. And, just by luck, and just like anything, just like through, dude, Infinity, our surf shop, when like Hobie Cats and Prindle Cat boats were like popular. We were a dealer. We had boats in the parking lot, like a car dealership. Like, we sold boats. Then there's the whole windsurf boom.
80s.
My dad was making custom windsurfers. Like in our shop right now, how it's 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
And when you walk in, that partially was because we had to display wind sails. So sails would be erected fully, and they're about 20 feet long with the mast and everything. So you could kind of feather through them against that wall. That's partially why the building is like that.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and we used to sell jet skis, when we were selling boats and stuff, along with the surfboard shop. So it's just adapting, evolution, and going with the times. And that's what's really unique about Infinity. And I can't think off the top of my head that any brand really can tell that story. And that's special to me, and I just think it's really cool. So that's what 50 years means to me. It's just like, we're a classic California brand any way you slice it. The one thing you can't buy is history and stuff. And, for me to take the brand over from my parents and, my dad to hand me the keys to the car, so to speak. It's a dream come true, right? Like, I'm sure everybody's kind of dream to have their own company, or if they had their own company, how would they make it look, or how do they want it to feel? And, I get to do that. And luckily for me, I love doing that. The creative branding side, is fun. So I think a lot of people, if they could choose to love what they do, you would. Unfortunately, not everybody gets to do that. But I truly love what I do, and I'm very lucky to be that way.
That's awesome, and it shows. You exude that.
Thank you.
The 50th, I hope you'll be able to keep telling the stories. This COVID thing has really messed some stuff up in terms of celebrations. But I understand there's a statue that's going to be in Dana Point. I know they're doing a number of them. But of your parents, is it going to be tandem, or I haven't seen? Do you know what it's going to look like?
Yeah, it's not a secret, but I never like to talk. I don't like to talk about anything that hasn't happened. Yet. Yeah.
But it's supposed to be in the fall. I read that somewhere, not from you.
Yeah, no, it's out there. Yeah. It's out there. Basically, Dana Point's doing a really good job. Like, for people that don't know, Dana Point has a very rich surf history. With Hobie being here, one of the early surfboard manufacturers in Dana Point. A lot of world-class surfers and watermen and fishermen and just people of the ocean loved Dana Point. it was a
Yeah.
little slice of heaven. So it's a waterman's community here. So Dana Point, with the whole revamp and everything, they're really doing a good job of respecting that history. So, there's a surf museum in the works, obviously the revitalization of the harbor in downtown, the Lantern District. But part of that is honoring people who built the surf community in Dana Point, and they've already erected statues of Bruce Brown, Endless Summer. His original house is up here on the cliff overlooking Dana Point Harbor. They did Hobie Alter.
And a sailboat.
Yep. And I think they did one other one. John Severson, maybe?
Okay.
He was John Severson, legendary photographer.
Okay.
But, and there's a couple others, but my parents are on that list, which is, amazing. Who gets a statue? Like Kobe Bryant gets a statue, you know what I mean? So,
and in their lifetime too.
Yeah. So
100 years later.
Yeah, the 50th year 2020 was definitely, shaping up to be a really fun one. We had some events planned and just, some activations with the shop and just things we were going to do. But obviously, a lot of it's not going to happen, and who knows if that, is going to happen this year. But we'll continue to tell the story, whether it's in 2021 or whatnot, because it's just a cool thing. We've gone over the 50,000 number mark in manufacturing of surfboards. Wow! And that kind of coincided with the year on accident. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to think that there was, since 1970 we averaged making 1,000 surfboards, a year, which is cool. We're not the biggest surfboard manufacturer ever, but that's
a lot. When a lot of them are huge accomplishment, and a lot of them are custom, and so many of them have your hands on them, like how to make that. Yeah,
and it's fun to think about, like our shop in Dana Point. We shaped the shaping rooms we shaped the boards on site in Dana Point, and that shop in Dana Point contributed about 30,000 of those boards, which is kind of crazy to think.
Wow, it is. Yeah. Well, in terms of growth, the last 4 years have been kind of big as you've expanded. I think your name was known well, but now there's actually boards in, I don't know, almost every continent. Maybe not Antarctica, but I see them in Russia and Europe and all over the place.
Yeah.
That's
exhausting. Been fun. It's been exhausting. I'm not going to lie. Being in the SUP manufacturing business is hard. I think people will attest that I grind it out. Like I work very hard. You do. I feel like I work hard at least, but it's a grind, and it's difficult. Even like the smallest little thing to throw a bunch of stuff off. Like say you ship 5 boards to some country, and they wanted blue ones, but on accident 2 gray ones got moved. Like it's honestly a big deal, and they want the blue ones, and there's nothing really. It's just little things like that. It's just a nightmare, but all the good stuff outweighs those little things, and it's fun to see, like, when we started selling boards in Russia, of all places. First of all, like, you're like, what? People, I just think of Russia being snow all day long, but you see these photos, it's beautiful, like lakes and lush, and you're like, wow, it opens your mind to what's out there. But I got to admit, when I got the first tag from somebody in Russia, I was like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Well, ironically, I have to read you a question from a Russian, if I can find it.
I don't speak Russian. I didn't know you spoke Russian.
So this guy, Andrei Kretor, is a Olympian, and you don't have to answer because this is one of those tough questions. What does it require to be a future team rider? What should I do to become an Infinity team rider? He actually is a coach in China. I got to meet him, and
cool.
Quite a few people in North America know him. But he's killing it. He was in that iconic race that Connor Baxter won, that just straight sprint.
Yeah.
And cool. They were talking about him just because he comes from being an Olympic, finalist. Was he going to be able to transfer to this sport? But now he's all into stand-up paddling.
Right. No, that's cool. Well, I appreciate
everybody wants to be a part of Infinity.
Yeah, trust me. If I could sponsor everybody who sent the message, we'd have a very massive team. And I always feel bad. you know, you can just tell like when it's going to be impossible to sponsor somebody. But you know, there's always a way to work together, of course. So you know, I welcome inquiries all the time, of course. And hey, if you're an Olympian, that's a good start.
It definitely is, yeah. And you do, speaking of team, just have an amazing team, amazing people, and it's been so fun to watch it grow around the world from, you know, Gianisa and Itzel in Peru, and you know these there's somebody in England that I keep seeing all the time now. It's really fun to see your team expand. And again, I admire so much all the things that you do, which we've only named some of, because it is a lot. But as Shay just wrote, we want you to keep doing what you do and keep the brand. Just it's so real and authentic and awesome, and we know it will keep going forward in positive ways.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I did want to, I check in with everybody about, and even though I live here too, what's the current situation? Like we hope everybody's staying safe and sane. Things in some places are starting to open up. Some places never really closed down, but kind of seems like you're getting out on the water a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, you know, California is probably one of the most confusing states of what you can and cannot do. You know, that's been pretty frustrating. But fortunately for me, my local beach in Dana Point, Salt Creek, for whatever reason, this entire time you could surf. So personally, I took 7 weeks off. Like I did not surf. I did get to stand up paddle a little bit. It came in good timing. I've been nursing a shoulder injury. So I've been getting on the water with my mom because we have a boat slip, and I've been able to cruise and paddle and feel it out. But I've been surfing the last 2 weeks. I mean, you know, everybody has their own opinion of what's going on, and at this point, I don't know what to think. But I've got to the point where I'm ready. You know, I want to get out there. I want to get back to my life, and in some aspects, if we don't get back, it's like I'm never going to have it back. You know, meaning, you know, my shop was closed for 8 weeks, and that's not a joke. You know, it's it's not a joke at all. So it's tough. But you know, luckily we've been able to navigate it.
And I think, did I see the shop you're able to open in Dana Point now? Again, the rules are so different from county to state to city.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were open for appointments only this whole time, you know, so we're doing some small sales here. Fortunately, I still continue to knock out custom orders because our production boards are way, way, way late, and they're still late. They're not coming for even a little while more. But the shop is open again. So if you're around, come say hi. I miss you. And it feels good to like open up, and feels good to sell something and just see people. It couldn't have happened at a better time. The weather's been killer. There's a great south swell. And I mean, to be honest, thank God we've been busy. Like people are ready to have fun and get out of this funk. And
they are. I'm hearing that people in this time of not being able to do maybe the things that they love, or kind of even looking into what they might do, that we might actually have a surge in stand-up paddleboarding. And hopefully that's good for your business on all levels. I did, back to the access is one of the big things. The parking lots aren't open, but you have a new toy that looks really rad. It's called a rad bike or something. Is that the brand?
Dude, e-bikes are a game changer. Oh my gosh. But it's funny. I think e-bikes and, like you're saying, stand-up paddling, they're both going to have a resurgence. I mean, obviously e-bikes are a hot ticket right now because there's no parking anywhere, but I think you're absolutely right that in stand-up paddling, there's going to be a shortage of boards, and people are going to want boards because you know, it's just so simple, and you know, it's easy to social distance, quote unquote, and it's just an easy thing. It's just like back to the roots. Like, why did people fall in love with stand-up paddling? Because it's so easy, and really the barrier to entry is pretty small compared to a lot of other sports. You know, a board could be expensive, but you know, you don't have to pay for lift tickets. You don't have to join a membership or whatever it is. It's literally your board and you go. So I think you're right. And
I argue that all day long when people say it's expensive. I said, but it's this one-time cost. It's so different than like my husband just went to golf. You know, I don't try to total it, but if I did, it doesn't take very long for him to get just paying out fees, the cost of a board, you know?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. So, but yeah, I think you're right on that aspect. There's going to be level of excitement because we've been closed indoors for so long.
Yeah. Well, it's your birthday, Dave, and
It is.
so nice of you to take time to talk to us on Supconnect Live. Really, really appreciate it. Again, everyone, it's every 1 p.m. on Thursday. We have another cool dude, Jeremy Boehne, next Thursday.
Jeremy!
Haven't chatted with him for a long time. And remember, there's a Facebook group, hashtag Supconnect Live discussions, where I'm going to steal some pictures off Dave's Facebook and
do it.
Yeah. Maybe some links to those movies if we can, as how to get or buy the movies.
I think they're basically all on iTunes. Brent Deal's movies. So
cool.
I think it's just as easy as just searching Sup Surf or something. But Brent Deal has his whole library up there.
But I can't even keep up with how many nice comments you've had and happy birthdays that have scrolled by. I think in the recording that will end up on YouTube, I believe you can see them if you ever want to go back and look at all your messages.
Yeah,
including your mom.
Yeah, mom. Nice. She's at work. She should be working. No, but KT, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you everybody for tuning in, and hope to see you soon. I mean, I can't wait for another event. I mean, I'm a social person. I need to get out there.
We need events. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, enjoy
right,
your birthday. Take care, Dave.
See you soon. Later.
Bye.